If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
is Tuesday night. I am Sean Stanley. That is Frankie Fresco. And together, we're the Squared Circle Digest. 1 week removed from heartbreak at WrestleMania. Heartbreak. But we want to thank you guys for joining us. Chat's already lined up. Frankie, how you doing this fine Tuesday?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. How are you?
I am fantastic. John Padilla in. Hell yeah, let's go. Enjoying the show on a Taco Tuesday. JG Long. Hi, Sean. What's up? EWD Jr. Two at time says, Sean, I think you have the build of Dax Hardwood, my brother. Why are you doing that to Dax, man? Why are you doing that to Dax? Dax is a lot better build than I am.
Oh,
I'm more of Bastion Booger.
I see you, King.
Back then.
I see King Mahi Carlos. I see you.
Oh, look at that. John Padilla. How is Frankie on the show? He hits a button and boop, just pops up.
And I always have cool shirts. You like my shirt?
What's that one?
Look at that.
Miami. Oh, that's the one from here? You went to the show?
Yes, I went to a show. Maybe we could squeeze a little bit. I got a little tidbit of the UFC and wrestling, kind of like mixing and matching what Dana White said about WWE.
Let's go ahead and let's jump in. Let's do that right now, man. I didn't realize you were there, but also my dad's in. Appreciate you, Dad. Let's see. Two at times says I'm talking about in your intro. Oh yeah, many moons ago, maybe a little bit. But Dax is awesome. Dax is awesome. All right. So UFC 287, you were there?
I was there. It was expensive. That's one thing. Jesus.
Where were you at? Like what areas? What section?
So I'm gonna tell you a little secret. Maybe I shouldn't be revealing it here.
Don't reveal it, but did you get the tickets or did you pay for them?
I paid for the tickets and I got them at the last minute.
Okay.
But if you guys don't know, Frankie Fresco hustles. So I worked my magic to try to get tickets last minute, but I was able to get tickets. I was sitting dead center, but I wasn't sitting in the 300 section. So I was up there. But the good thing about the Miami Arena,
no. Come on now.
How do you say
Center?
Kaseya Center. You have great views everywhere you pretty much are sitting. So it was a really amazing experience. I didn't, honestly, I wasn't planning to go with a friend of mine who kind of like pushed me. And at the end, I was like, okay, let me go. So I definitely went and it was a great experience. I've been to a couple of UFC fights before. I went to one in Orlando a couple of years ago. And I was also at the pay-per-view that they had in Jacksonville. So I drove with my friend to Jacksonville and we saw the pay-per-view card as well. A couple of championship belt fights there as well. So I'm besides a UFC fan, besides a WWE and a AEW fan, I'm a big UFC fan too. So, which, let me not sugarcoat it, I wanted to kind of bring it up, is Dana White. So obviously I don't think you saw the press conference. But one of the things that they asked Dana White was the wholesale about the Endeavor.
Yeah.
And they were asking him, what do you think about it? and he kind of revealed some stuff about WWE that he wasn't supposed to. So apparently, what Endeavor wants to do with WWE is that they want to add sponsorships into WWE. So it looks like what WWE you might see in the future. Now, again, I'm just speculating. This is not something
Oh no,
concrete.
I've heard the same thing. I just haven't said anything because I wanted to see if they would come out with it first. But go ahead, talk about a little bit about what he said because I didn't hear about it, but I'll tell you what I've read and some
What
different things as you go along.
what he said was that they kind of are keeping both brands separated. He felt that both the UFC fans and the wrestling fans are two different audiences.
Mhm.
That's what he was saying. And then we were talking about it right before we got on, is that the next pay-per-view Backlash and the next UFC pay-per-view land on the same date.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but
get worked out down the line. Again, these usually are year out, so it's way before Endeavor even probably thought purchasing the WWE was going to be an option,
so there is talk that they want to do the sponsorship. So what I'm thinking what they want to try to do is, number one, I think they want to go ahead and possibly put sponsorships on their uniforms, on their actual attire. Kind of like what UFC does.
what Brock Lesnar did when he came in. He had
Mhm.
Jack Link, like he brought his UFC sponsors over the first run. I don't think he did it the second run or any of them,
No.
but if you remember his first run, he had the Jack Link, just basically like what his UFC fighting shorts were.
Yeah, and I think I mean that generates revenue. I wouldn't be also surprised if maybe they even do something with the ring. You know that
Well, I've heard turnbuckles,
yes.
and then possibly, if a pay-per-view is sponsored by Snickers, you'll see the Snickers on the mat with whatever the pay-per-view is and things like that, and the apron as well. Or
Now,
now.
Now, what does the chat think about that? Does the chat like that? I mean, personally, myself, Sean, I will get used to it. It's kind of like, remember with the NBA when the Miami Heat, they started putting all these sponsors on their uniforms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Kind of got used to it. So I think I'll get used to it. But what do you
My
think?
thing is, I don't have an issue with it as long as, again, they're going to have to figure out a way to offset some of the pricing because they get money to generate a lot of money through pay-per-views UFC. Okay, because they charge $59.99 for pay-per-views.
Well, I think this
Wrestling
pay-per-view,
fans, they're looking at not changing anything they're doing right now. So if they can make that money up with the sponsorships, I don't care if you put a Snickers bar on every mat. I don't care.
I thought that
That's the wrestling.
I think the UFC that they had right now, I think it was going for like $75, if I'm not
Oh
mistaken.
no, I'm sure that one because that was like two big matches in Israel, Adesanya, and all that. But I mean, like your normal ones are probably 59, I think 69 maybe with ESPN Plus.
Yeah.
But like I mean, if it keeps those costs down, I don't have a problem with it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, it's gonna suck because every other thing is probably gonna, it's almost gonna be like who was it? God. Mike with Levitard used to make fun of Joe Zagacki, right? That's the SeaWorld 50-yard line. Oh my goodness, they're in the Sedano's red zone. You're gonna, it's gonna be like, oh, there's the Snickers belly to belly. It's gonna be some, instead of the curb stomp, now it's gonna be, I don't know, the public stomp or something.
And now let me ask you this. If they're kind of,
they get too commercial. I'm not saying they're doing that, but
what about them possibly doing the weigh-ins? You know how they do the weigh-ins with the UFC?
I mean,
fights?
the only thing is, I just think, look, man, you can do that with UFC because the next night they're jumping in there and they're going to punch each other in the face. You know what I'm saying? Like I just don't like, even when they did it with the recent one with Brock Lesnar and Omos, it's just when those things happen in wrestling, it's like the wedding in wrestling. The wedding never happens. It's just a thing to get to whatever, So I don't know. I'm surprised, honestly, that the press conferences have lasted so long, but I think it's because they open up in them. They're not as guarded. They're guarded. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say they're not. They're guarded a little bit, but it's not as, as tedious because people watch it now because they'll get little tidbits. It's not like they're like, next question. It's so, I mean, I guess you can get used to them if they try to do it. But again, in wrestling, does it matter? You're not trying to make weight anyways.
Well, look, I mean, the press conference at the beginning, I didn't like it. I don't think you liked it either. And now the the one that they have for WrestleMania wasn't so bad. So, and then AEW has their press conference, and it's kind of grown on me as well. So it's like I wouldn't be
Also, it's
surprised
because
if they
I
try
don't think
it.
they don't guard it. It's not like, well, I can't answer that. They're pretty. I mean, again, there's certain things they'll dance around, of course, because they can't just come out. I mean, hell, look what happened the last time, and then they brought it up at the last. Yeah, right, with Roman. The guy was like, watch him. Watch him. He's the one that started the brawl out with Houseman was there and asked the question. And he's like, watch that guy. That guy starts stuff. What I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
like
sure, yeah.
they brought that into it, and it's one of those things, man, to where
And but now the other thing is, do you feel that there is two different fan bases when it comes to the UFC and to the wrestling business? Like
I
I'm
think you're hardcore fans, yeah.
okay.
It's like your hardcore AEW and hardcore WWE. You know what I'm saying? You got your hardcore UFC fans where wrestling to them is like, what is that? They don't even touch each other. What? They don't understand the art of the pro wrestler. They want the barbaric, choke them out and all that stuff. Which again, I like UFC. I don't have a problem with it. I like AEW. I like WWE.
But
But you have your hardcore fans where that's them. Like WWE to them is like, really okay.
But let me ask you this. Okay, I get you when you come with the hardcore fans, but I'm thinking more of the generation that's coming up. The young people who actually like UFC, and they were like, let's say for example, they loved Brock Lesnar or they love Ronda Rousey, and then they made it to the WWE now, and now they tune in and they're like, wow, this is not so bad either. So you're kind of gaining both a fan base for both, and it's gonna go the same because I heard that Adesanya said that he even contemplated saying he might go into wrestling
Oh, there's a lot of them
afterwards.
things open there. They're open up to all those guys,
A-
any of those guys, because they got a fan base already. Like you said, with Lesnar and Rousey, you're bringing over a fan base. But
Well, like
that's what I say happened. That's what I say, and again, now we're kind of going in different direction. But
yeah,
with AEW, the problem with them, I feel, is they placate so much to their hardcore base that they're not pulling that average wrestling fan over there because they're placating so much to their hardcore fan. Whereas WWE, really, it comes down to bottom line. It's, will that person make us money? Yes. Okay. Well, then let's get them in here.
I'm just I
Logan
think
Paul, for instance, look, that dude signed a 5-match contract, 2 of them at WrestleManias, 2 matches at WrestleManias. And he brought in a big audience to them.
I like the fact that they're gonna kind of interchange fighters and wrestlers. I like that. I personally think
I
it'll be
don't
kind
know.
of cool
I
on
don't,
my end.
I don't
And again, it's everybody's gonna have a different say. Like I mean, imagine you have a Conor McGregor and he comes to WWE. I think WWE is the right wrestling
thing
organization
is,
that
you
can
can take
handle that.
UFC fighters and bring them over. You can't take the wrestlers and bring them over. No.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah,
with that. I agree with that.
Lashley, who's done MMA fighting. You got some guys that have done MMA fighting that can maybe, again, but then you're stepping up in the competition, because I think his last fight was it before Strikeforce or after Strikeforce for Lashley? I can't remember when his
Wasn't
last
he? Wasn't he in Bellator his last
did he
fight?
do Bellator. I think you're right.
He
Right.
might have been in Bellator
Bellator, not
before.
Strike. He started Strikeforce and he went over and did a few in Bellator. Yes, because TNA, they were on the same channel.
Well,
Impact,
remember
Bellator were on the same channel before they went to Showtime.
AEW did kind of like a UFC kind of
They
type
had
of match,
Dan,
right?
Dan, the top team down here in Boca. Top team,
Dan Lambert,
Dan
Lambert.
Dan
Yeah.
Lambert, yeah. And they came over and Masvidal was supposed to be in it, but then he ended up not doing it because they wanted him for something in UFC or something, and he started his own promotion. But
Well,
that was what it was supposed to lead up to, because if you remember in the angle, who was it? Who were they fighting at that time? It was Ego Page and Scorpio Sky with Lambert, and they were fighting. Was it Darby Allin and Sting in them? Was that the group at that time?
probably.
They broke into top team and stole the BFM title.
They did, but then I remember that they brought in a couple UFC fighters. Like they brought in Junior Dos Santos in there as
Well,
well.
again, Junior Santos though wrestled.
But he was in the Miami card, right? He fought here. Was it?
Yeah, yeah. He's
Yeah.
done some wrestling. He's done some wrestling. Those guys have done wrestling there
I-
and everything else. But the big lead-in was supposed to be Masvidal, in
Yeah.
in Miami was supposed to be the payoff. That Miami that wasn't supposed to be Dos Santos. That was supposed to be Masvidal
Well,
in
you
his hometown.
remember they also brought Paige Van Zam, but I think
Yeah,
she's
but
out now. I don't think she's doing anymore.
She wanted more money than what they're going to pay her.
Yeah, exactly. She could
And
do more. She could make more
that's the
money on
thing.
OnlyFans.
Yeah. Oh no, exactly. I mean, they all will.
Yeah.
Oh, look at damn it, Mandy Rose, whatever it's going by now. But
She needs to go to AEW, but
she's making more. What for? What? She's making killing. She's making like $500,000 a month.
she is. But if she loves wrestling, which most of those wrestlers
If you're
do,
making $500,000 a month to pose for pictures, you're going to stop. Your love for wrestling might taper off a little bit.
but if you could do both, look at us. We love wrestling and we're doing a podcast, and you do a Big O show. So
Yes.
imagine, look how multitask you are.
Yeah, but I mean, this I love doing. I love talking wrestling. I could do it all day, all night, and then some probably.
But yeah, so that kind of was like what Dana White said. He didn't want to say anything much more than that. I'm reading the chat. The chat is kind of not agreeing. They want people to stay in their lane.
I was going to get in there. Two time said, I do not like that. I don't mind the mat and turnbuckles, but I don't want to see wrestlers look. Oh, it's going to be like boxing when they used to get the tattoos on the back.
Yeah.
Tattoos on the back all the time, those little ones. Two time also said, if they charge for WWE premium live events going forward, it will hurt their buys and AEW buys. Think about it. The reason I'm able to afford AEW pay-per-views is because Peacock. Yeah. Well, what? And to a time, you may bring on something there. Do they go to premium live events to force your hand? Are you going to buy WWE? Or are you going to save up the money and wait for AEW? Which pay-per-view are you spending that $39.99, $49, whatever the price is going to be?
Well,
Okay,
so before when WWE wasn't on Peacock and you had to pay for these pay-per-views, I wouldn't buy all of them, obviously, but I would buy like the big ones, like Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, WrestleMania. Even though WrestleMania would probably cost an arm and a leg, if they went on pay-per-view.
Because I think AEW ran in March. So if you paid for AEW, you wouldn't have been able to pay for WrestleMania.
Yeah,
I'm just in general, the pricing. I'm not saying, look, if you got the money and you can do it, I'll buy pay-per-views all day. But in general, you would have had to decide between WrestleMania or the last AEW pay-per-view.
Or you know what? I mean, well, the thing is that with the UFC fights, I would go to a bar. I don't know if there's any bars that show like WWE.
I'm thinking about going and trying to find one, man, and just like the Sunday of and just do it. But I don't know if I can get enough people to go into it.
But wait, are there bars that show like the pay-per-view?
All you got to do, they got the smart TVs. All you got to do is put a few of them on the Peacock and log in.
Don't they have to get licensed though?
But that's something that they could look into. Some of them maybe.
That'd be pretty cool though to have a bar.
I don't know now that
wrestling.
Again, it's not a pay-per-view per se. For UFC, I remember there used to be like $1,000 per TV when I worked at one club. It was like $1,000 a TV. You paid for, so but again, if you can get logged in on a pay-per-view and watch it on, for WWE events, and we did like a live, pre-show leading in, and then we watched the pay-per-view there. You know what I'm saying? Like things like that. And, that those things can work out. But I don't know that, again, if they're having to pay, the $1,000 a TV, no way.
Yeah, no, they're not going to do that. And you're not going to get the fans to be paying left and right for all these pay-per-views either. I don't think so. I wouldn't. I would, like I said, I would just focus on the big ones. Same thing with AEW. I would probably just focus for the big ones.
Yeah. And then some of those might end up crossing each other. And
I need to a time get Big O to buy you a wrestling bar. You know what? Will we do? Can we open a wrestling bar between us?
Dude, they used to have that in New York. They used to have a wrestling place in New York.
That's so cool.
It was a WWE, actually, a WWE restaurant is what it was. Official DJ Mimo, don't understand the post-fight press conference for WWE or AEW when everything is planned out. It's one of those things to where you give the journalists in wrestling a chance to talk to them and make stories, and then also you get to find out little things that happened. Like you wouldn't have known about that little girl's mom if it wasn't for that, and then also the turmoil in AEW. Think about it. If it wasn't for the backstage, that press conference, none of that stuff would have been squashed. They wouldn't have went at each other the way it happened.
No, I remember when Roman came out once and he asked the reporter, he was like, "I want you to acknowledge me," and then the reporter said, I acknowledge you." That was funny. They squeeze it in.
Yeah,
Those
they have
little tidbits are not
fun.
bad.
Yeah, there's a little thing. Again, it is what it is. It's pro wrestling. They're asking questions, and they get some good answers, and then they get some bad answers. I mean, you don't have to tune in. You can watch it the next day.
Yeah, it's true.
To be honest, the first night I watched the next day. The second night I stayed up because I wanted to see what they were going to say. Let's see. John Padilla says, "I hope they don't change or don't charge for WWE." Right now, everything's staying the same. By the way, when we're talking about things that I've heard, but everything I've heard reports saying they're going to try to keep the PLEs the way they are.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to afford the new Sunday ticket prices. Jesus Christ, man, that's ridiculous. Two at times says, "Yes, I'm a hardcore wrestling and I'm not interested in UFC at all." Wow. Okay. That's interesting though. That you're more wrestling and not really into UFC.
Yeah, that surprises me. I would have thought there would have been more fans that like both of them.
Let's see. Two at times also said, "Don't want to see any UFC." King Mahi Carlos, no, stay in your lane. UFC and WWE should not cross. Maybe Uncle Howdy can step into UFC.
That'd be funny.
DJ Mimo says, "What's good, Mr. AEW, aka Fresco?"
I'm gonna have to take that narrative out of our podcast.
No, you can't, man. You can't. Your nose is like brown with it. When I say AEW, you light up. It's like AEW.
I let up for.
There's like a light up behind you or something when we say AEW. It's like just gets behind you. Like it's just the whole thing.
That's funny.
Let's see. Terry, what's up? DJ Mimo, what's up, my man? I wonder if they go to do premium live events, what's the ratio of people buying it now that it's been so long in Peacock? I mean, I don't know that they want to try that. Honestly, I don't know that you want to try that because when you're used to paying $10 a month and you get everything, now you're going to try to bust, whatever the price is going to be. Not a really good time.
Yeah.
Let's see. He says, "I bet CM Punk doesn't like them." Yeah, I'm sure CM Punk does not like the post press conferences because I don't know if he's still getting paid or what the deal is there, but we shall see. Let's get into Raw review. Go over a couple little things that I saw. Again, there was flight issues for those that don't know or don't follow a lot of the wrestling sites. 50% of the wrestlers were either late or made it right at the time of the show or could not make it at all. So you had half the roster that was stuck because of travel issues. They didn't really get into what the travel issues were. I don't know if it's the storms going across the state here or across the country or whatever. They were in Seattle. They ended up rewriting a lot of the show. The things I found interesting was that it went from a Io Sky kind of gets added in and becomes the number one contender for Bianca Belair. Trish Stratus, Lita gets beat up. Trish Stratus takes her spot, turns on Becky Lynch. And then you had KO take on Solo with the win. And then, of course, Riddle and Sami Zayn get there late and then get out to the ring. The interesting thing for me, Frankie, is that it went from before WrestleMania, we were talking, we could see Cody, Sammy, and KO taking on, the bloodline. And now it looks like it's going to end up being Riddle, Zayn, and KO with Cody going through, and we'll get into the Cody thing in a minute on the next thing, with Cody going through Brock Lesnar at the moment.
Do you like that?
I don't know, man.
I don't know why they're pushing Riddle so much.
Riddle's got the personality and stuff to go with it. And
Exactly.
the thing is, Solo is the one that injured him. Remember, Solo is the one that injured his shoulder that put him on the sideline. So I like at least a part of it being somebody that was in the angle. You know, they just throw somebody in like, hey, we need to replace Cody. Oh, let's grab Drew McIntyre, throw him in there. At least it makes a little bit of sense from the story. The only thing I don't like is that they never really had Riddle. I mean, he's come out, but they've never had them really interact to where you can see the three of them kind of like, do they really trust each other?
Yeah.
Does Riddle, I mean, they haven't really done a whole lot of that with that storyline. And ultimately, I think you're probably going to get a 6-man tag at Backlash.
Yeah. I think they just put in Riddle because we had not seen him for a while. So they kind of want to make it like a big splash. And that's why they brought him in. Whatever. It's okay, I guess. Once I saw that Brock and Cody were going to go at Backlash probably, I was like, okay, it makes sense why they're bringing in Riddle to this storyline. So it's okay.
Yeah. And then Heatfin says, what's good, Sean? Do you think Rhea, Liv, Bianca, and Raquel are the next 4 horsewomen for the future? If not, who? Rhea and Bianca, definitely. Raquel. Yeah, I don't know if Liv is there, but I don't know that the 4th one that's going to take it into the future is there yet. Because to be honest, I think it's going to be Roxanne in NXT. I think she's going to get a gigantic push up. The one thing that I don't know is she's going to look like putting her in with Rhea Ripley, putting her in with Bianca, putting her in with Raquel. She's the size factor there. It's going to be one of those things that's going to be very interesting. But I think she is Liv. I think, look, she's been around for a while. She wasn't used great before. She's been around longer than I think a lot of people realize. And now she's finally getting her, her due. But again, that whole thing last night, just putting the belts, I think it was just a way to get the belts off Becky and them. I'm not sure what the hell was the thinking of any of that, just the whole way it was kind of thrown together last week. And then all of a sudden it's them winning the belts and they pinned Trish. And then, like I said, Trish turns on Becky. I don't know how they're going to play this. And again, maybe it's all to get to Becky and Trish, because I know Becky has always wanted to fight Trish Stratus. That's been one of the people she's wanted to work with.
Well, I heard that supposedly that's the feud between Becky and Trish, and that they're going to try to aim for it for SummerSlam. So they're going to build on this story until SummerSlam.
Yeah, I can see that. And I never liked the fact that that Lita and Becky won the titles to begin with.
Same.
And you didn't even defend them at WrestleMania. So it wasn't like you won them to set up for a match at WrestleMania. You won them, and then you were in a 6-woman tag, which made no damn sense to me. Again, man, if maybe the whole thing was to get to, but then it doesn't make sense, because why not have Trish cost, are they going to say that Trish jumped Lita too?
But I'm reading the comments here, and I agree with Memo, DJ Memo. I don't know why they're pushing Trish and Lita. No offense, but I think they're washed up too. I think they're type of wrestlers that you just bring them for one and done. I don't know why they're trying to bring them and put them more periodically.
The one thing is they've squashed every other woman on the roster.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, honestly, that's the problem I've always had with some of the WWE stuff, is why not use more enhancement talent like you used to? Why do you have to bring Shelton Benjamin out to job to everybody, and then all of a sudden you want to throw him in something? You want me to believe that Shelton Benjamin can win the tag team titles? How the hell is that? He just lost 3 minutes last week. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on, man. I mean, I get it. It's wrestling. I get it. But sometimes I feel like I think what they're doing in a way is kind of resetting the women's division. I think you're going to see some call-ups.
They need some call-ups.
Somebody said Zoe Stark there. Well, I think the problem they had was the sale. Because apparently they were talking, and again, you want to dirt sheets per Sean Ross Sapp, which that man usually is good on everything he says, everything is printed out. They were talking to Jay White. They were
Mm-hmm.
talking to Brian Cage. They were very interested in them, but with the sale coming up, they couldn't do anything. And then they started not having communication with them because there was nothing they could do. And we'll talk about it later, but both of them are in AEW now.
Yep.
Brian Cage signed today. So, you know, it's one of those things where I think the sale has messed up a lot of what you're used to after WrestleMania. Because after WrestleMania, it's the boom, big surprises. It's the boom, the call-ups. And you're not getting that yet because I don't know that any of that's set up yet because of the sale.
The only good thing is that at least yesterday's Monday Night Raw looked like a regular Triple H type of Raw.
Yeah.
Like it,
Yeah. Apparently Vince was not there. Vince
Yeah.
wasn't at SmackDown. I thought SmackDown was pretty good. And Vince was not at Raw. So
But I
although
don't think-
there was a few changes made, apparently he had some stuff sent to him, made very, very minimal changes were made to this show.
But I heard how were the ratings? Like, do you have the ratings for yesterday?
Hold on a minute.
Because I think they did 1.8 if I'm not mistaken.
They did 1.81 last night.
Okay.
And 2.46 for SmackDown.
Wow, they did really high on SmackDown.
They were actually up from the week before, leading into Raw or leading into WrestleMania.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, though, I like I said, I think they're gonna run with Trish and Becky going at it, probably in SummerSlam. I am happy to see Liv and Raquel actually go ahead and win the tag team belts. I'm curious to see who they're gonna go up against now. I wouldn't be surprised if it's probably Ronda and this girl
Shayna.
Baszler.
Yeah,
Shayna Baszler.
I believe that's the match I saw on a poster for coming up at Backlash. I believe that's what, and that would make sense because hell, they won the Showcase Tag Team Tournament at WrestleMania. I'm not sure how Liv and Raquel got the tag team title match, but hey, it is what it is there. Two Time says the Trish call made no sense. I agree. But again, I think it's just they're tired of having the women on their rosters probably lose to Becky. So now it's let's bring in a legend that can at least still work, and you get some time for people to forget about so and so being on a 50 match losing streak. Like Nikki Cross, they're reinventing for the 57th time. So we'll see what happens there too. I mean, we'll see what happens there. Vince fan from Cali says, "Where do you think Randy Orton comes into play?" He was supposedly at WrestleMania doing some things, and apparently his back's not. They didn't not where they thought it was going to be at. I mean,
I heard reports that he's gonna be out all of this year as well.
I heard that as well. But as I say with wrestling, believe half of what you hear.
Yeah.
Believe half of what you see and nothing of what you hear. And that's the way you do a wrestling because they'll tell you one thing and Orton will be on Raw tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow because that'd be Dynamite.
What do you think about Damage Control breaking up?
I don't think they're breaking up. I don't think they're going to break up.
You don't think so? I think they are.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, they kind of gave it kind of like a spin that they are breaking up when Bailey was telling them, "Hey, I got a title shot, and then I'll have more leverage." And then
Io Sky took it.
Mm-hmm. So that's I don't know. I think they're gonna break them up eventually.
Well, I mean, eventually, but I don't. A lot of people I was talking to were thinking they were just going to end it like out of nowhere because Bailey didn't go out with them last week, and there's grumbling this week. I think ultimately, I think the three of them need to stay together for at least a little bit longer, man. A little bit longer. They came in last WrestleMania, so now they've been together for a full year. And I think you have to have, unless you're going to make some other, faction or a little bit of a group of ladies, you almost need them because they're the gray. They could work with the heels or the faces and get cheered or booed either way. They're kind of that gray faction to where, they can go with either side. And you need that in a way right now because the way the women's division is, it's I'm not saying the performers are not bad, but the way they've kind of painted themselves into certain corners with the tag team titles. And now you saw what they did with Bianca and Rhea, with them facing each other. Now you've got the draft coming up. which Triple H announced on SmackDown.
What Tua's saying is kind of what I was thinking. I have the feeling they might split them up because I think Bailey, Bailey can hold herself. But we don't know about Io and Dakota. I mean, they're good. We like them, but they've never had like.
Apparently, they love Io because you're not going to put her in a championship match at a pay-per-view unless you've got a little bit of trust in her. I mean, as far as that goes, but I mean, maybe that's what they do. But I just, man, dude, it's the thing where I think WWE, and again, it's shame on me for wanting the long-term storytelling in a lot of stuff because they go from pay-per-view to pay-per-view to pay-per-view, from pay-per-view to pay-per-view to pay-per-view. It's kind of how they do their matches. And then everything is also booked WrestleMania to WrestleMania. So you have that year and you have the different, months depending on the pay-per-view on how they book the show. So, it's going to be interesting to see because, and then also he says, I personally wish they would go back to one roster, not in favor of the split belts. Problem is you have two different networks. Fox has SmackDown and NBC Universal has Raw.
Yep.
And that's been the main issue. And you can't have the ratings on Raw because they pay. I can't remember what is Fox paying. Hold on a minute.
Fox is probably paying an arm and a leg for that. Because I remember they had they used to have what was it? I think the UFC, and then they were going after what was it? There was something else, and they decided to pass on it, and then just for WWE. So I know that they giving up something huge. I forgot I think it was the UFC that they didn't want to resign, and then that's when they signed with WWE.
Yeah, so the Fox network currently pays WWE over $200 million each year to air SmackDown on Friday nights. And now that expires in the fall of 2024. So they still got about a year left on that. You're looking at $200 million a year. So, and that's why that show always, and somebody else said down here, SmackDown usually always does over two. There's a reason they lean that way, because now let me see what was I think Raw.
Trish the Legend. Well, while Sean gets that information. All right. Well, while Sean is getting that information, I don't want to change the topic too much, but FYI, I love that Bronson Reed fight against Bobby Lashley. That was great.
Yeah, they're finally using those guys, right?
Jesus, that was a great fight. And then for them to DQ both of them, I thought that was smart. I think it should lead.
It keeps it building. That's.
I think they should do that fight and build it up until Backlash, and then use it as a Backlash fight. I think that's the most smartest thing.
Or even don't even put it on Backlash. Wait and get it to the next pay-per-view, because Backlash, at least what I saw, looks pretty loaded, man.
Well, did you hear what happened with Backlash? They Puerto Rico sold out in 1 week. Yeah. 17,000 seats sold out in 1 week.
Yeah. Oh, 17,000. Not that. I mean, because they made it. I don't know if you watched. I know you watched WrestleMania, but there was a lot of they were selling like travel packages to Puerto Rico. It was like, come visit Puerto Rico and enjoy Backlash, and so they were selling a lot of the package deal. I'm trying to find the exact price they do for Raw, but I can't find it right now. I don't want to waste too much more time. But
how much was the package to go to Puerto Rico and watch wrestling in Puerto Rico?
Maybe it was on
like $3-4 grand, maybe.
I wouldn't think that much. I don't know, depending where you're at, because usually what they'll do is they'll work in the front row tickets that cost like $500 a piece. Let's see. Fincham used to pull 4.2 easy back in the Monday night. Yeah, but that was a whole different time, man.
Yeah, it was
a whole different time back in the day.
That was the good old days.
Says, I didn't watch last night's Raw episode, but thought Vince would probably run Monday Night Raw and Hunter run Friday night. Now, I think Triple H is actually going to be able to run them both, because I think Vince heard enough of the stuff to be like, you know what? Let me just let me let it die down again before I stick my nose back in this, because when you have a show on TV, they have the show called The Bump. It's on Peacock. And the whole chat was #fire Vince. Everybody in the chat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that people start seeing that, man. And I know Endeavor and all them are saying,
but that's why I don't think it was Vince who kind of backed off. Vince doesn't seem like the type of person who's gonna back off. I think it was Endeavor that tapped his shoulder and said, "Hey, stay back a little bit, and then we'll ease you back in slowly." I think it was Endeavor.
It may have been that, but at some point, he's also smart enough to know, because he's done this before. He's done this before. He blew himself up in a car to get away from wrestling for a couple of weeks. And then it was like, oh, wait a minute. I forgot something happened. I believe it was when they did that. Was that around the time of Benoit or Guerrero?
When he blew himself up?
Yeah, when he passed away. When I think it was Eddie Guerrero.
I think it was on
because that aired the Monday before, and then the following Monday they did the tribute. I believe so. But I mean, like I said, I think he's smart enough to get the temperature to know that he doesn't want Endeavor tapping him on the shoulder a week in the selling, going, "Hey, back off, back off." So I think he might have enough. Or maybe listen to somebody who's like, "Hey, look, run it remotely so people don't see you." Because that was the big uproar. The big uproar was the fact that he was sitting in the seat and you could tell that he was running it, and they were told he wasn't running it, but he's sitting there and you're seeing all the changes going around. Like, we're not stupid. I know what was going on last week, and now look at it this week.
I remember what I told you. I was like, if he's in Portland for SmackDown, he's taking over this.
Yep.
And he wasn't. He
Nope.
wasn't.
And he wasn't there this week. So I think they finally, like you said, I think Endeavor, they probably all got together and was like, okay, what can we do? Because again, I don't think Endeavor's making major decisions yet because they don't know this end of it. They don't know the wrestling. Again, business-wise, they're probably smarter than all of us. Of course, they probably are.
True.
But, they have to understand that, wrestling's a little bit of crazier thing there. Bad Bunny better watch out for Dominic. Yeah. Dominic has really came into his own, man.
He is, man. He's doing a great job.
All right, let's get back to our stuff. I think we got everybody there. Io was great in NXT. Yeah, she was. Dusty Rhodes biography came out yesterday. I know we discussed already, and you said you hadn't been able to watch it yet, Frankie. So I'm just going to go with the part that I was talking about. They had Dusty on there, and in the biography, and Bubba Ray kind of, I believe it was like the night after when Cody lost. He's like, let me ask you guys something. What do you think Dusty would have booked? If Dusty booked this angle, do you think he would have booked Cody to go over? And the more I thought about it, and then I watched the autobiography, and if you haven't watched it yet, please take out, if you have DVR and you can fast forward through it about an hour and 15 minutes. If you don't, 2 hours of your time, and watch the biography of Dusty Rhodes. You're going to learn a lot about who he was, first off, and then also a lot about, because he was the booker. He was the head of creative for WCW. He went into Impact for a little bit. He went into, or at the time it was TNA. He went into ECW for a while. He went to NXT, and it gets into a lot of, it's on A&E, DJ Mimo. It's Legends. It's season 3, chapter 9, I believe. But there's one part in there, and it's the Ric Flair and Dusty. But again, remember, Ric Flair had the 4 Horsemen. That's why I thought this could play out a little bit that way, because Dusty's antagonist always was Ric Flair. And what did he do? He surrounded himself with 3 other champions. They became the 4 Horsemen. And they were always there for Rick. Rick would always keep the title because the other 3 would always make sure that either the person he was fighting was beat down or some other way there. There was the part, it's called The Chase, where he chased Flair for a good year. It was 7 different pay-per-views because they did a couple times. I think they broke his leg one time, his hand another time, and everything else. So he was out for a period of time. But the chase was almost a year long, and he lost, I believe it was 6 times to Ric Flair during that chase.
Wow.
And then he finally won the title.
Do you think they're going to do that with Cody?
not going to say they're going to do 6 times losing and everything, because again, back then it was different because you could do the losses differently. Like most of the times in main events now, you get a clean victory most of the time. You might have some interference, but it's a spear 1, 2, 3. Back then, it used to be the 4 horsemen would jump the steel cage and it'd be a disqualification.
Yeah.
Well, there's no disqualifications in steel cage matches. So very different time to where you can't really, but again, this was the storyline and Dusty was the head of creative. Dusty was the one booking this for him to lose because he always considered himself the American dream. And what is the American dream? You're always chasing the American dream. So to him, the chase, again, he got the payoff at the end, but the chase, because he wanted the people to chase with him, and they did. And that was the same thing he did with Ron Simmons. When Ron Simmons beat Vader, nobody expected it. Dusty put his ass on the line because he said, now is the time. Tonight is the night. In Baltimore, Maryland, Ron Simmons needs to win the title. He's chased it long enough. It's time for him to win it.
I saw like a little clip.
People jumping up in the air. I mean, there's people going to jump the guardrail.
I saw a little clip where I think it was Seth Rollins. He was talking about him and saying how he learned so much from Dusty and how he was kind of like the person who kind of taught him how to speak and how to sell a segment in front of a crowd. And I think there's like a clip of like Seth showing it. Is that
NXT? They had promo day.
Okay.
And you sat there in front of Dusty and the NXT coaches and you cut promos.
That's what it was.
And then they would critique you. Let me tell you something. The most nerve-wracking 1 minute was all we had to do when we had to try out for FCW. 1 minute, but Dusty was right on the other side of the camera looking at you, 10 feet from you, with you cutting a promo.
What was your promo?
Oh, man, it was terrible. It was terrible. Because
you were freaking out?
No, I wasn't freaking out, but the problem is, like, I was so young then, like, I didn't know how to tell a story through my words. I could get in the ring and understand the psychology.
Yeah.
But you're talking about, like with Dusty, his whole thing was like, he goes, look, man, look at me. I'm not going to get a lot of fans into the ring because of the action. I need to talk them into the building. And that's what he did, man. The guy was special, man.
Now, let me ask you this.
Especially because he understood that, I always talk about it here, man. And it's because, like, a lot of the people that I was trained by, they had elements of Dusty touching them. They worked with some, with Dusty a lot. And the word that always came back to me was emotional investment. You have to get the fans to emotionally invest in you, so that when you're getting your butt whooped, they're crying, or when you're firing back up, they're cheering.
Now, but when you did the promo, and obviously they say, "Hey, we're gonna pass on you," did they at least give you some type of like constructive criticism and tell you, "Hey, this is what you need to do," and stuff like that?
Yeah, they sat with each person and went over our matches and our promos and told us, and again. He looked at it, he's like, you don't do this a lot, do you? And no, I hadn't. Because back then, independent wrestling, you didn't get a lot of mic time. No. Unless you were like the main guy. There wasn't a lot of mic time. It was like you go to the show, you show up, you do your matches, and you go. And then we got TV, which got a little bit, but then we had a manager. So we didn't have, that. And at the time, I never thought how it's like, look, when I look back at things now, like, when I look at some of the younger, I'm like, just understand what you have at your fingertips. Like we had Facebook near the end and things like that, but we didn't have YouTube to put clips on. I mean, or maybe we did, but we didn't take advantage of it at that time. Social media wasn't what it is today. So you would maybe, hell, we could have ran so many different damn angles through just social media.
And that would build your character and your resume.
Exactly.
Yeah. What's
outside at night and just cut a promo and put it on social media and have people be like, oh, that's stupid. It's stupid. And learn from it though. But you take the critique and learn from it. You didn't even think about that.
You want to know what's crazy is that works with everything in life though. Cause like, I remember when I told you when I started DJing, I started doing weddings, and I was nervous. I had no idea how to be an MC when I was announcing weddings and stuff like that, and somebody had to teach me. So that's how I learned. And man, just like you, I tanked the first time. I did
Yeah,
horrible,
yeah.
but it also kind of teaches you to, hey, let me start working on it and stuff like that until you finally get the hang of it. And then somebody sees it and then says, hey, yo, this guy got it, you know?
Yeah.
So
No, 100%. And that's the thing too, is like you're standing in front of Dusty Rhodes and you're
oof,
told, talk for a minute, go.
a
You're not even
legend.
given like what the hell you're supposed to talk about. And it's like, was that a minute? No, that was about 20 seconds.
And not only that, but it's Dusty
All right.
Rhodes. You got a legend in front of you.
And but dude, he's got that aura when he looks at, like, he's got this, he was like cracking jokes and smiling, and even in between like the cuts and everything, like he was putting you at ease. It wasn't like you were sitting there like you were sitting there like, all right, let's get this shit over. I know you guys are gonna suck, but let's go because I got to do this. No, he took everybody through, and like, it was a very eye-opening and learning experience. And it's one of the things that, again, me being where I was at an independent, I didn't travel. I wasn't your Adam Coles. I wasn't your Roderick Strong. I wasn't, those guys that were, every weekend or every other week traveling up to Boston, New York. I stayed right here in this little area here. Yeah, I went to Peru but with the group that was from here. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I wish sometimes maybe I would have taken advantage a little bit more of what was given to me. But at the time, I thought I had my priorities, and that's what I needed to do at that time. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
but it's one of those things to where, but when I saw Bubba Ray and what he put on there, and he put out a poll, and I know I hit yes, and yes was at 67% at the time when I hit it.
Wow.
That Dusty would have booked Cody to lose at WrestleMania, especially after watching the documentary.
But also remember, man, like we were all talking about it, is like it's first we couldn't kill the bloodline so quickly, right? It still
Yep.
had to last. And then number two is, you got Cody. What is his whole spiel is, hey, I want to be the champion. I want to be a champion. You give him the championship belt after 1 year, and then
Chase
what?
is done. The chase
Yeah.
is done.
The chase is up. So it makes perfect sense
Yeah.
why.
And that was one of the things, like, I was wondering, because I'm telling you now, they had me sold that Cody was winning it. But my only question was, who's next? What's next for Cody? Because I honestly thought maybe it'd be Solo, but then the Raw before WrestleMania, you had Cody beat him. So it wouldn't make sense to do that there. All right, let's move on. Logan Paul renewed his contract.
How excited are you about that?
You know what, man? I'm pretty excited about him, dude. He doesn't take it for granted. Like, he doesn't, he's not that damn bad, man. He's not bad at all.
I just think he needs to be a little bit more quiet in some of his promos.
I know when his promos, he just needs to shut up and let it play out, man. It's one of those things where he feels like he has to hear his voice. It is one of those things, man.
I hope they teach him.
Yeah.
And
hopefully they will work out on it. All right, here we go. Frankie Fresco's favorite part of the Squared Circle Digest. Watch his face. Watch the face.
Stay
Watch
the same.
the 3 letters. AEW. You see the light? The light just percolates off of him. Look at it. Look at the cheek. Yes. AEW. Oh.
No.
Angels sing down on you. Couple signings just to go over real quick that were announced today. Billy Starks. If you don't know her, she graduates from high school in about 3 months. She's been all around the country, and she has been on Dynamite and Dark.
She has.
She's now All Elite. Brian Cage re-signed. He's All Elite.
Yep.
On Dynamite, we found out Jay White is All Elite. And now, Frankie, I'm going to ask you, because I'll give you my 10 cents in a minute. See, look, even Boss B says, look at the glow.
I saw Boss B's comment. That's why I'm smiling.
Hey, Boss B, DM me your email, please. I couldn't find any of your information. I don't know, like, all of it was disappeared off my social media. Your thoughts on Jay White debut?
Oh man, Jay White! I'm so happy you picked AEW. And I say that because I don't think WWE would have used him well I don't think they would have used him correctly. I thought it was good. I thought he needed to come in as a big surprise. I think they're gonna go with him and possibly Ricky Stark going after each other. So that's probably the storyline they're gonna create. Um, but there's so much possibility of what to do. That's another big wrestler for AEW. I mean, you could have special fights, obviously you could run it back with Adam Cole. Adam Cole would be a great fight. You could also bring it back. You could also go ahead and bring Moxley into the mix. I mean, there's so many wrestlers that Jay White could go after, and they needed him, man. They need somebody that's gonna spark AEW up a little bit, especially with the Tony Khan announcement of the Wembley. They need all the star power they can to try to pack up that stadium. And that's why I know I don't want to jump too quickly on it, but I think watch, CM Punk is going to come back. There's no doubt CM Punk is coming back.
And I've also forgot to say FTR announced that they had re-signed with AEW too. Sorry.
Oh, that was so good. Now, this is the only thing I am concerned about FTR.
Oh boy, here we
This is the
go.
only thing
Here we go.
Okay, so
Turn on Piggy's part.
so FTR wins, which
Yes.
I expected that, of course. Secondly, who are they going to fight next? Like, who are they going to put FTR to go up against?
Bucks.
Who?
The Bucks.
You think they're gonna just split the Kenny Omega and the Bucks and just
No,
go with that?
I think it's going to be FTR. It's going to build to FTR and CM Punk against the Bucks and Omega. They're going to let Omega get a singles run for a little bit. He's going to be defending the IWGP US Championship again this week on there. So I think ultimately you're going to have that, and I think what you're going to start seeing is somebody lays out the Bucks, somebody lays out Omega. And then as it's getting closer, boom.
So you think
FTR
that would
and CM Punk.
you think that would make the best matchup for that Wembley pay-per-view? The Bucks, Kenny Omega against FTR and CM Punk?
I think it'd be your safest bet. So in case if anything goes haywire, it doesn't come a complete shit show. If CM Punk or Kenny Omega get in there in singles match and both of them, neither one of them want to do whatever, now all of a sudden you got to what? You're sitting people down. At least with the 6-man, you hope one of the 6 will be professional enough to figure out, hey, we need to calm this down and do a right match here.
And I'm saying the chat, I don't think the Acclaim is a good fit for FTR because they've already run that a couple of times. So I'm not. I don't want
the belts anymore.
Yeah,
they're there where they don't need the belts. I mean, and this is, you're going to look at me and be like, Sean, you're such a freaking, you just can't. They can't win because I don't think the Guns should have ever won the titles.
we already spoke about that.
Yeah, no. But also when I look at it, I'm like, the Acclaim didn't need the titles. The tag team division
It didn't hurt them.
Has fallen off so much. When you look at what it was to what it is right now, you're gonna tell me that AEW tag team division has not fallen off?
It has because okay, get rid of the Young Bucks. Who do they got? Who does FTR have to go against? There's nobody.
No, you've got the Guns. You're gonna
run the Guns again? You were just upset that the Guns were champions. You're not
I'm not saying give them the damn belts, but damn, they're good enough to defend themselves and be like, hey, give me a rematch.
Nah, the Guns.
You can have stuff. You've got tag teams there though. You've got the Kingdom. You've got tag teams there that you can go. You just don't use them. You put them on Dark and Dynamite. That's become tag team purgatory. And you know what? I never got to say my 10 cents on Jay White because what's going to happen with Jay White is that some bitch going to end up on Dark too.
You know what? You're not the only one that's been saying that.
That debut of Jay White told me they took toilet paper and just crossed White's name off the board. That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
No, the dumbest thing was that MJF promo that they did. That was the dumbest thing, in my opinion.
But him singing?
Yes, they.
What do you mean? They got all the 3. They got the 4 pillars involved.
No, okay. So you want to break this down? We could break this down. Okay, so you got MJF. They bring him on board, and then he starts singing, right? And he starts singing like a New York song or something. I don't know.
It's his hometown in Long Island.
Okay, I get you. So then he sings for like about 2 or 3, like 5 minutes. And then he walks down the ring and then he goes on the podium and he starts giving his whole spiel of his story about when he was in school and how he suffers from ADD and et cetera, et cetera. So it runs another 10 minutes while he's saying that story.
Yes.
And then after that, he says, "Hey, let's do another encore." And then he goes back again, and he was about to start singing again. I said, "Okay, you want to know something, Sean?" And I told you this a long time ago. AEW caters so much to their fans that are at the arena.
Mhm.
The fans that are on TV, they don't need to see all that stuff. Like, you're messing it up for the fans at home. What you should have done, and again, I'm not an AEW uh employee or anything, but what they should have done is
Are you sure?
they should
We
have
can talk about him. My
they
God.
they should have had the same entrance, his main entrance, because everybody likes to hear his main entrance song. So don't play the instruments or any of that stuff. Just have his entrance. He goes in, he tells his story. Then to finish off his story, he goes, they have the orchestra come out, and he might sing like a minute. And then while he's singing a minute, that's when you see the guy who had the whatever the instrument, and he messes up, and it obviously at the end of the day is Jungle Boy. That's what they should have done. The promo would have been at least cut by half. You don't need all that extra stuff because you lost me. That promo lasted so long. It lasted what, like 20, 30 minutes? I was like, what is this? And you know me, I love AEW, but it turned me off. I was like, yo, even the fans. When he started yelling encore, 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 the fans weren't even screaming encore. Did you notice that? Like, it just lasted way too long. It was not a good promo. I think it was the weakest thing that they did on the show, to be honest with you.
Oh, no. The Jay White debut was weaker. Jay White was weaker. And by the way, I agree with Nicholas here. MJF sings better than you, Fresco.
He probably does.
And
Yeah.
I agree to a time. I can't tell who loves AEW more, Frankie or Dave LaGreca.
Oh, no. Dave LaGreca loves AEW more than I do.
Yeah. And then somebody said, I'd rather watch MJF sing all day than see Blackpool Combat Club.
Well, okay. So then what did you think about that? Like, I thought, again, them stabbing. This is what frustrates me of AEW. And that's why you guys tell me, hey, Frankie's a home runner with AEW. No, I criticize them a lot because it just frustrates me that all the potential that they have, and they do the same stupid storylines over and over again. So you got Blackpool Combat coming out. Daniel Bryan or Brian Danielson, whatever, same guy. He's making he's making his spill and all that stuff. And then you got Adam Page. I mean, for the love of God, like, come on, man. How many times are they gonna bring Adam Page against Moxley and them? Like, come on, come with something original. Like, it's dumb. And then they stab him with a what? What was that? Like a screwdriver or something?
Yeah. And you know what? Also, that throws off my whole. I forgot they're gonna be in with the Bucks and Omega. It's gonna be the Bucks, Omega, and Page against the Elite against Blackpool Combat Club.
So again,
it's like a War Games match in London.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. It was that kind of like didn't sit well with me either. I was like, it's the same thing, same story. It's kind of like, when, not wanting to go back to WWE, but when Trish turned her back on Becky Lynch, I'm like, oh man, this is so like, so how would you say it? Lazy storyline.
Yeah.
So you got Brock Lesnar turning on Cody. You had this guy, what's his name? Braun Breaker turning on Carmelo, and then you have Trish turning on Becky. Yeah. I mean, come on, like, that's lazy storytelling. I don't appreciate that. So it's kind of like,
or you book a guy who's the number one free agent in the business to come in and attack a guy for a match. I mean, that's good for business.
But how many people know Jay White? Not that many people know Jay White.
But that's why you needed to be. Goddamn, Adam Cole came back from injury and got a freaking pops in circumstance. Yeah, Jay White shows up and you hear his music, and they screwed up on the whole damn thing to begin with, anyways. Because the music hits and Jay and Ricky's looking the one way, and then the guy comes in from behind, Juice Robinson, and it's like, oh, but I think you could have had that.
Maybe they could have.
Oh, man, you definitely could have. This is a guy you had main event Forbidden Door with Adam Cole and all the four guys. They main evented Forbidden Door, and you bring him back after you sign him, after everybody thought he was going to show up at WrestleMania.
What?
Every
What? Okay,
show,
Buzz.
WrestleMania or the Raw after Mania, and what do? You freaking start the show with the guy?
Okay, but let me ask you this: what do you do? Hold them off until the next pay-per-view event to introduce them? Is that what you
No,
would
but
have done?
freaking bring him in at a better part of the show. Freaking people aren't even in their damn seats yet.
Okay, well that's true. They
And you
probably
already
should
got
not
to
have done
bring
it at the
running
very
down
beginning.
the thing like, hey, I'm Jay White. I'm the big free agent.
They should have not done it at the very first match. You're right about that. But it's only gonna build up from there. You know, Jay White, people are gonna learn who he is. People are gonna realize he's a great
Well, Frankie,
wrestler.
let me ask you this. Can it get any freaking worse? Because if it
No,
is, just cut the
no, it
contract
better
off.
not. It better not. I know you and a lot are gonna say he's gonna end up in a dark. I hope that doesn't happen, but you know, you never know with Tony Khan. So
Well, that's the thing. It's like, and then here's the other thing. It's like, okay, you signed Brian Cage. What does that do for you? You've done nothing with them for the 4 years you've had him.
what are you talking about? Isn't he the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team champion right now? He's one of those guys.
If I asked anybody, who's Brian Cage? What are they going to tell me?
The AEW fans know who Brian Cage is. When Brian Cage came to CCW, people knew who Brian Cage was. He was down here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's only the hardcore fans. Again, the where you lack star power, you lack storytelling is in how to promote your wrestlers. Look
But
at
didn't
Wardlow.
AEW say we're going
Where
to
is
build
he?
our stars. We're going to build our stars.
Yes, but
What have they built?
they built MJF.
Okay.
They built a Jungle Boy. They built Darby
You're
Allin.
saying Jungle Boy is a star right now. You're saying Jungle Boy is a star.
They have him going in for the belt with Sammy Guevara. Those 4 that they're putting in as the
You
main
just
event.
called him the guy that messed up with the music a minute ago.
No. I did not say that he messed up. Well, I don't know. He had the
Symbols.
whatever. He had that thing. He was playing that. I'm talking. I was criticizing the segment for it taking.
No, I
too
got
long,
you. I know what you're saying.
but not him. But anyway,
I'm
but
saying
yeah, no.
like, I mean, Darby Allin, I think they've changed. They've done good with him. Orange Cassidy, again, they've done good with him. MJF,
Hook?
yes. Hook for what he is. I mean, yeah, but he's just started on Dynamite. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he's fighting Stokely Hathaway. He's not in there with Wardlow and those guys. I mean, yeah.
Well, he fought Ethan Page.
Yeah. But I mean, but are they really stars? Have you created stars? If you put them on if you put them on a pay-per-view, like here's the one question I have too. You're pushing the 4 pillars of AEW, right?
Yeah.
Are you buying a pay-per-view for $59.99 with those 4 main eventing?
Damn. Only if they make it interesting. So like if they make
making the undercard so damn good that
no. Let's say they make it like a I don't know, a lumberjack match, or they make it like a no disqualification match, or like a street fight or something like that.
It's no disqualification anyways.
Like a street fight or something like that. That I would pay for it. Why not? It's not something you're gonna see on a daily basis where you see those 4 wrestlers going on a street fight. I would. I don't think the casual fan might not, but I would. I think, and then you obviously, like you said, you have to build the undercard.
Next, I want you with a sash from now on that says Mr. AEW.
I'll be at the AEW event.
Huh?
I'm gonna be at the AEW event. Are you gonna be at the AEW event?
I want to see how much tickets are here coming up soon. They're going down slowly. I keep checking it.
They're having. They have a promo code. They look how again, and this is for you guys. Like this is so sad. So they have these options of like buy 3 tickets and you get 4. The price of 3 for 4, and they wait like 3 weeks before to like.
They hope they buy the tickets at premium price, and then now they do the.
But they're having a hard time selling these tickets, and they like.
What are you going to watch though? Honestly, what right now, Frankie, and I'll take the whole Mr. AEW and the fun we have out of it right now. if you're going to the TV taping, what are you going there to see right now?
Okay, so I'm gonna go see Jay White because he's new. I haven't seen Jay White. I'm obviously going for
Are you sure he's
MJ.
going to be on there?
I mean, they're doing Dynamite and Rampage. They're doing both, so I'm pretty sure he's probably gonna be there.
You might be better off you had Dark.
Boss being fact we will no matter what. Yeah, and I'll be there. And then you got MJF. You can't miss out on MJF. You got the Acclaim. The Acclaim always sells. FTR. I mean, there is talent. Like I don't. Is it the same star power as WWE? No.
I'm not even comparing star power like that. WWE's got a machine behind it, and it's had a machine for many years. I don't even mean by that by star power, but I just mean by storylines or anything going on in AEW. Nothing has me hooked.
I mean, the only thing that would have me hooked is probably the whole four-way between MJF, Sammy, Darby, and
They're what, April 26th? They're here, right?
yeah, it's in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, 2 weeks from tomorrow. 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'll see how next week goes and everything else, and we'll see.
I'm gonna for you guys out there, try to look for me on TV. I'm gonna have a sign that's gonna say
Mr. AEW.
No, it's gonna say Square Circle Digest, and if you see that on the video, take a picture and send it to me. That would be so cool. I'm gonna have that. I'm gonna definitely. You know what I was thinking?
You gotta sign it, Mr. AEW, because then they'll definitely put you on there.
You know what I was thinking about doing, Sean? I was thinking about interviewing some of the fans out there to get a different opinion, to prove to you that there's plenty of AEW fans.
Diehard AEW fans, though. That's like, look, when we went to the James L. Knight Center, they did Rampage and the Darks and the Elevations there. Dude, the diehards were there, man. But everybody else that was just like, they were leaving, man. They were leaving.
To a time.
I watched the rest. You know, the main event that night was Bryan Danielson against Sammy Guevara. I watched that as soon as the 3 hit. They're like, please stay in your seats, more Elevation taping. I was already in the way heading to the parking garage.
Wait, but you know that AEW always surprises with really good matches when they come down here. Like, remember the Bryan Danielson with the Asian guy? What was his name? I forgot his name. That was a great fight. The guy, you know, the Asian guy. Oh man, I forgot his name.
Wheeler Yuta?
No. The Asian guy. He's an Asian guy. He's at Ring of Honor. What is his name? I forgot his name. Oh man, I forgot his name. I would have to Google it, but that was a great fight. You know, the old Asian guy. Jesus Christ, I forgot his name.
Oh,
anyways,
Shinoru.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, him. That was a great fight. That was probably the best fight of that night when they were down here.
Yeah.
So
actually, that was the one at James L. Knight Center, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the match then. Sorry, that was the one, not Sammy Guevara. I watched All Access recently. I saw him fight Sammy Guevara.
Is it Nakamura? No, Nakamura.
Nakamura is
it's WWE.
WWE, yeah.
Actually, he's coming back, so that's
this guy next week. Yep. Somebody's asking about Wardlow. What happened to Wardlow? They stop his role all the time. I honestly think he got some outside commitments, is what happened, and they stopped some of his stuff.
But now let me tell you this. FTR. I read a little bit on FTR. The reason they chose AEW over WWE was, number one, FTR said that they felt that with AEW they have more liberty to do shows outside of AEW. So they have a lot of indie shows. So that's something that I love about a tag team, that they're willing to get in front of an audience, whether it's 1,000, 2,000, or 25,000. They don't care. So that they're gonna put on a show for whoever's out there, and they felt that WWE wouldn't give them that liberty. Also, they also felt that Tony Khan, knew them better than Vince McMahon, especially since Vince is back on. So they felt like Tony Khan knew their role, knew what they could bring to the table, and they've been more successful. They definitely been better than when they were in WWE. Let's keep that real.
Yeah, but they're also, again, the one thing that I won't take away from, but I think it's one of those things where the best thing about AEW and the worst thing about AEW is how much freedom creatively a lot of these guys have. And whether that's a detriment or a plus, depends how you look at it. The way I look at it is but again, this is looking at it as if I'm a businessman, okay, I'm a businessman, and I'm paying FTR to be my tag team champions, and they're going to go to your federation, and do they lose?
No.
Exactly. That so you got to make sure they're winning, right?
Yeah.
Staying strong, because if they're going anywhere else, that becomes the problem, though. Because again, the problem with FTR before was they had every title.
They did.
Right? And then they lost the IWGP titles. Then they lost the Ring of Honor's last.
But it was because there was a chance that they were going to leave. That's
No,
why
that was part of the storyline of the whole thing
Yeah.
building up. I mean, however you want to look at it, because I don't think they were ever leaving. I
Yeah.
think now that I look at it and look at everything that they always did, it's just like, ooh, everything pointed them leaving. So therefore, they probably were never leaving. And then
I think Vince coming back, it was the reason why they didn't sign, in my opinion.
probably. Or
I think
comes back, yeah.
I think they would have gone back to WWE. I think Triple H would have pushed for them a lot more. So
yeah, well, I mean, I think Triple H is in a tough spot right now because he talked to all these people coming back, and now they're probably gonna be back in the same damn boat they were.
And-
said Nick Wayne.
Yes, you've heard of Nick Wayne before, right?
Yeah.
So Nick Wayne, if you guys don't know who he is, AEW signed him when he was 16 years old. He's working in the indie shows, and the reason they haven't brought him in AEW is because Nick Wayne hasn't hit that age of 18. So supposedly in July he hits his 18th birthday, and that's when they want to bring him on board.
Yeah.
And it looks like what they're gonna possibly do is that they're gonna put him against Swerve Strickland, since he's the one that they've been kind of like going at it in the indie shows. Swerve actually said it on one of the indie shows, saying that, hey, I'm gonna give you another rematch, but this time it's gonna be an AEW. So I'm excited about him. He seems like a bright kid, and he sounds like somebody who could bring some more action. And he reminds me of a lot of Dante, and Dante Martin is really good in AEW.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, it's another one of the guys that are high flying, take risks, and usually they pay off for him. I think it's a good signing, man. It's one of those guys they can get when he's young, and he's going to grow. I mean, he's not there yet physically, I don't think. I think he could add a little bit more weight to him, but also he needs to do it the right way, the proper way, so he can stay the way he is, because you can't throw a bunch of weight on him and take away what makes him so good. And,
let's just quickly try to talk this a little bit about the announcement, about the Wembley announcement.
Okay.
Supposedly, when is it? August 27th is when they're having All In. So we both heard that the pre-sales kind of did really well for AEW. So you have about 25,000 people who signed up for it. The Wembley Stadium.
It wasn't the pre-sale. The pre-sale is actually on May 5th. This was some kind of hold on, man.
Like a registering, right? Like a pre-register or something.
Pre-registry, I believe it was. AEW. You can keep going with what you were saying. I'm sorry.
So you got 25,000 who are pre-registering. Apparently, what I've heard now, I don't know if this is true or not, but I hear that the ticket sales for that event is going to be a lot less than what they had for the WWE one, the Clash at the what was that pay-per-view called? Clash at the Battle of the Clash
Castle.
Clash, yeah, exactly that one. Sorry, I'm bad with names sometimes. So so you have, I heard that the price the ticketing is going to cost somewhere around 40 euros. It's changed to American dollars. It would be like about $40 American, and it will go all the way to like maybe $600. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but obviously they're making it a little bit more affordable. My question to you is, that stadium holds about 80 to 90,000 people. For it to be a successful show, how many tickets do you think AEW needs to sell in order for it to be a successful show, in your opinion? I don't think Sean is listening to me.
No, I am listening. I wanted to I'm trying to look up something as
But while you're looking that up, I'll tell you guys. I think personally, if they're able to crack at least 50 to 60,000 fans in that stadium, I think it's a success for AEW.
If it's a paid.
Huh?
Paid or
Yeah, like if they came in there, like 50 to 60,000 people were inside that stadium, I think that works. I think that's a success for them. Even though they're probably not, they're short, what, 30,000 from seats out there? I'm pretty sure they could cover it up. But at least 50 to 60,000 fans, I think that it's a success. If they only do somewhere around 25 to 30,000, that's bad, in my opinion. But again, they're already pre-registered about 25,000 people, so it's looking bright. But again, you have to sell it. That's why I'm telling you, CM Punk has to be in that show because CM Punk is gonna bring people to the seats. It's clearly, and I know some people might say, "Hey, you know, CM Punk is washed up and CM Punk sucks and all that stuff." But come on, let's keep it real, guys. You know, when CM Punk came to AEW, everybody was talking about it. Everybody. It was on Twitter. Everybody was tuning in. Everybody was watching it because everybody wanted to know what is CM Punk gonna bring to the table. And then if it's true what Sean was saying, which makes sense, if you bring back that storyline where CM Punk and FTR and then Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks and Adam Page and all that, I mean, can you picture that? That would be a hell of a storyline, especially with all the backstory behind it. At the end of the day, AEW has a great opportunity to make that pay-per-view very successful. I just hope they find a way to book the correct fights because if they don't, man, I mean, and now you got Jay White in there. You could make Jake White and Adam Cole as one of the other fights in that. I mean, there's sky's the limit.
All right, so I was looking for the attendance that WWE had when they went there.
Okay.
I could have sworn they've been there more recent than 92, but maybe I'm wrong. The SummerSlam event in 92 did 80,535.
Yes, but remember that's Wembley has been remodeled, so they
It
added more
holds
seats.
90 now. It holds 90.
Yeah. So back then I think it was sold out, right? That was
Yeah, but also you got to remember too is when WWE usually does stadium shows, they cut off the whole back of the stadium for the ramp. Usually when they do those stadium shows, they'll take off the whole back half of the thing. So Dax Harwood was on with an interview with Up Rocks.
okay.
And he suggested a dream 6-man tag team match for the Wembley show.
Oh, what would it be?
CM Punk and FTR versus the Elite. That's got to be it, right? If you want to sell 50,000 tickets and take this company to the next level, that's it. That's me dreaming. That's the dream match. The 6-man tag in Wembley Stadium could help launch AEW to the next level.
There you go. It makes sense. That's the fight to do for that particular venue. It's just too big. The majority of the fight. Okay, you know what it was? When they went to Chicago for CM Punk's hometown, how many tickets did they sell there? I'm pretty sure they had it in a bigger.
They're sold out. But
There
they
you
did.
go.
They ran the old stadium though, not the new Bulls one. They ran the old one though.
Oh, okay. But they still, I mean, that's a big venue. Look. Like for example, when they're coming here, I'm surprised that they're doing it at that FLA Live Arena because they're not going to be able to sell the
Last time
whole.
they did it at Watsco and they didn't do it, and James L. Knight Center they didn't do it.
Yeah.
So, but then again, too, it's it's one of what's going to be interesting is if the Panthers make the playoffs. Because the playoff games, are they already out? Like, would the Panthers host a game? Would that change the venue? Like, would they have to change the venue? That's got to be worked out already, right? They know that the Panthers aren't going to be playing that night, right?
Good question. Maybe they'll schedule it that way. They're not playing that night.
Yeah,
they're probably on. They might be on the road. That's probably what they'll do. That way, it doesn't clash with the wrestling event.
Yeah, official DJ Mimo says I watched WrestleMania 21 yesterday. I don't even remember who was in 21.
Me neither.
WrestleMania 21. Man, my computer is going crazy.
I have to watch. I'm gonna probably rewatch the one when they were here in Miami. What was it? WrestleMania 28.
28. Yep.
Yeah, that's the one I kind of want to watch.
That WrestleMania goes Hollywood. That was the first time WrestleMania went Hollywood.
What was the main event on that card?
JBL, the WWE Championship against John Cena.
Memo saying Batista versus Triple H. Oh, okay. There it is. John Cena versus JBL as well. Batista versus Triple H was good too.
Yeah, it was the first ever Money in the Bank ladder match. Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels. That's a hell of a match.
That was a hell of a match.
Hell of a match.
I
Man.
see. That's why I think WWE needs to keep Peacock, because all the
Well,
old,
no, they'll
old
probably keep the Peacock thing there now. Do they move the PLE events though? That's the thing.
but watching those old
Because it's like Ring of
WrestleManias,
Honor. Ring of Honor's got the thing. You pay $9.99 a month, but then you got to pay for the pay-per-views.
did you see how many subscribers they have?
No.
They have 15,000 subscribers on that Ring of Honor. That's kind of disappointing.
I don't know what you expect, man. They don't. I mean,
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not.
Need to have two companies like that in a way. It's like I understand you have NXT that is your developmental, but to have Ring of Honor, which has a pretty damn good roster, and then be competitive against your AEW, your other wrestling company, just I don't know.
That's true. I mean, and again, they mix and match too many wrestlers between both of them,
Yeah,
which
is why I thought they were taking the title off of Claudio. I thought,
and that hurts. That's the part that I really would like for them to kind of separate the two, because I think that's the only way Ring of Honor is gonna succeed. I just seeing it. Look at NXT. Like, if you see NXT, they don't. I mean, they'll bring some wrestlers from SmackDown and Raw to NXT, but they don't. For the majority, it's all the developmental. All the wrestlers are trying to, they're trying to bring them up.
Somebody down to help out. Like, they brought Gargano in to work with. It's like guys there is trying to see, okay, is he ready to make the step up? Let's have him work a card or a show with.
And it's not only that, but they're doing it smart with NXT, because they'll bring in Gargano, right? And some people already started seeing him on Raw, and they're like, "Oh, okay, now Gargano's back."
And he was Mr. NXT for a little bit too.
Exactly. So then you're like, "Oh, okay, so you're bringing somebody that they already know." Yep. So
it was Apollo Crews. It was
same thing what they did with
his whole gimmick. Because they went from what he was doing to now he's kind of back into that. Regular Apollo Crews, and
same thing with the New Day, when they brought the New Day as well. So you see, so that's creative, and that's Charlotte Flair when they brought her against Rhea Ripley. All those things were like, it makes sense. I wish again, me, I love AEW, but
when
some of their stuff,
they made it seem like he was going to run Ring of Honor as kind of like their developmental. You'll send some of the guys that won't get much TV time down there to kind of just hone their craft and work. And then they started making the Dark Elevation, the Dark, the AEW Dark Elevation and all those. And then you had Ring of Honor now. And it's like, dude, how many shows do you have? And you still only have 2 hours of TV time, because I don't care what you tell me about Rampage. That hour, that doesn't count, man. It's recorded. And
did you see what they're doing this Saturday?
The Battle of the Belts?
No, this Saturday, I guess because of the NBA playoffs, I think they're moving Rampage to Saturday.
Yeah, no, that's what happened. That's why they moved Dynamite to TBS, because it was always getting moved during the playoffs. You didn't know when the hell it was going to be on. Now,
I heard that they were eventually considering making it a permanent move to go to Saturdays, which in my opinion, I think that would be a really bad idea. I don't think they need to be going on a Saturday.
I think what one of them needs to do, and maybe, to be honest, maybe they should put Dark on TV on Saturday. Like, used to have Saturday Championship Wrestling on TBS. There's 2 hours, crappy matches. It was like some no name against Ivan Koloff, some no name against Nikita Koloff, Tully and Arn against the Mulkey brothers. But you got to watch the guys that you built up those guys. So then when you went to a show, you knew who they were, and then also on the pay-per-view, you're building it up in between. It gives you, I think it'd be good, but they need to do it differently. They don't need to do it where it's, pay-per-view matches like they do on Dynamite. You need to do it where it's more like your dark matches, where you bring in your enhancement talent and have them take on Moxley and have them take on, whatever. And then you can enhance the angles by having the Young Bucks. Moxley keeps the chokehold on too long on the guy. The Young Bucks slide in, he slides out. No contact, but you can build up things that way, which is what they kind of do with Dark and everything now. If you watch it, Dark and Dark Elevation will lead to something that might happen on Dynamite. I just think they need to do something more to that style, because you can't put on pay-per-view match after pay-per-view match after pay-per-view match for free on TBS and expect me to pay $49.99 for a pay-per-view in 3 months.
I agree. And then you got the YouTube. I know we're all going into this whole, social media type of streaming services and stuff like that, but are a lot of people tuning into YouTube? Are a lot of people tuning into these?
Yeah, I think they have pretty good. Hopefully I don't lose you. I'm gonna try to check something real quick.
Because I mean, we're on YouTube right now, right?
Yeah.
So imagine, like, you there's gonna be people who are gonna be watching other stuff on YouTube unless you catch the rerun. But I don't know, man. I feel YouTube is of course, the NFL ticket I just saw, that's going on and all that stuff. So maybe YouTube does blow up and maybe it does help AEW when it comes to YouTube. But I'm still old school. I'm still more of like the TV guy. So I watch everything on TV once in a while.
AEW has 3.58 million subscribers.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And then how much does their show do for Dynamite? It usually never cracks not even 1 million.
Oh no, yeah, never.
That's so crazy. That's odd that they have over 3 point.
The conclusion between Wardlow and Powerhouse Hobbs on their channel has 428,000 views from last month.
Wow.
Blackpool Combat Club sets an example for professional wrestlers worldwide, 262,000 views.
Wow. Again, I mean, man, maybe they need to go that route then.
They got so here's AEW Dark Elevation. So they have going back 3 weeks ago, 208,000 views, 133,000 views, 135,000 views, 84,000 views for the one that went a day ago. For Dark, it's 149, 134, 119, and 16. So, again, with 3.5 million subscribers, I mean, that's another revenue stream there.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm surprised that they have 3.5 signed up. Wow.
And you never know with that stuff. Do you think AEW will be on HBO Max in the future? I mean, if they were smart and Warner Brothers Discovery sees it that way, I think you'd get more people going $9.99 for an AEW app, and you get pay-per-views. You might even be able to get $15.99. No commercials. You get all the AEW stuff and pay-per-views for $15.99 a month. I would do that.
I don't see it happening unless AEW grows their fan base when it comes to the ratings for Dynamite. They're not gonna have enough to support the HBO one. I don't see it. You know what it reminds me?
More people there?
No, I don't think so.
I think some wrestling fans go to WWE just because it's cheaper. I can pay $4.99 and I can get pay-per-views because you don't have to pay with commercials. $4.99, you can watch all the pay-per-views.
Oh, I mean, I get you with the pay-per-views, but if we're looking at the regular shows like Dynamite, they're not cracking even 1 million. So, what makes you think that people are gonna? If you can't even crack 1 million viewers on your best day, which is Dynamite, your best show, what makes you think that they're gonna sign up for an HBO Max future? I don't see it happening. I honestly feel it reminds me of, what? It reminds me of Showtime back in the day. Showtime used to have some type of I don't know if it was Bellator or it was like Elite XC.
I believe they have Bellator.
Either Elite XC or Bellator. I don't remember what it was, but they were saying, "Hey, join Showtime, and you get these action packed." Nobody signed up. Like the numbers still weren't that good because it didn't grow their viewers, so it kind of just stayed the same. So unless AEW can do something where their viewership increases more than, they got to do at least 2 mil or at least get up there like 1.5 or something like that. Then I could go ahead and say, you know what, give it a shot with HBO.
All right, and Boss B, Would the both of you watch micro wrestling? I may go to a show here in Dallas. Hell yeah.
I heard it's really good.
I love micro wrestling. I love it.
I heard it's really good. I saw like a clip where I think they were drop kicking somebody, and everybody was going wild. And I was like, oh my god, this is not bad. It's actually pretty fun.
It's amazing where you can watch wrestling at. I wonder where that show's at. Let's dive in here, Reggie. We're going almost an hour and a half here, so I know your time's valuable. For this week, something new we're going to do here on Squared Circle Digest. You in the chat can be a part of this as well. We're going to give our performer of the week or performers of the week, where we're going to pick one of the performers, AEW, WWE, Japan, whatever, whoever that person, myself or Frankie. And if you have somebody there you want to throw in, go ahead. You can give out who you thought was for this week. Frankie, do you want to go first? You want me to go first on this?
You go first.
All right. Mine are performers of the week, and it goes to Cash and Dax FTR for winning the the AEW Tag Team Championships and staying with AEW. And just the fact that I thought the way everything portrayed out from the time they were mentioned to not being happy in AEW to the way Dax accidentally left a contract with the WWE logo in a picture and then it was deleted, and everything they did led up to them winning the AEW titles. And with that, they took the titles off the goddamn guns. We didn't deserve it in the first place, Tony Khan.
They did deserve it.
Are my performers of the week.
My performers of the week, I mentioned it earlier. I was surprised, but again, I thought it was a really good match, and it's Bobby Lashley and Bronson Reed. I thought they did a phenomenal job yesterday. They both went out, and it was entertaining. I was surprised at Bronson Reed, to be honest with you. I found it very interesting, that fight.
Dude, that dude's a star, man.
Yeah, man. It was when he was trying to put the hurt lock on him and everything, and he was just separating it and everything. They sold it really well. And then at the end, there was like a clip. I don't know if you saw it, when Bronson Reed climbed the turnbuckle. I don't know what move that was. Even the announcer didn't know what it was. He threw himself and he just landed his whole body on Bobby Lashley. And it was just even little things like that you probably would say, hey, they messed up. It went with the fight. And again, like I said, I love the fact that they both got DQ'd or counted out. That way, you could build on that story. And I think you could probably put in a Backlash.
Yeah. No, definitely. You got two big men. It's just a freaking slobber knocker, like good old JR says. All right, real quick before we go, DJ Mimo asks, what do we think of Drew McIntyre saying he's not happy with WWE? Listen, to me, Drew McIntyre carried WWE through COVID.
He did.
And the man wants to get paid and he's not happy creatively with what they're giving him. Dude, if anybody deserves to sit on and wait, it's Drew. And I think he should get paid. And again, it always goes back to, what have you done for me lately? But then also it goes back, and this is the part where I think some performers get themselves in trouble, because if you say no, somebody else is going to do it. So when they pitch stuff creatively to you, you're kind of like, okay, well, at least it'll keep me out there. But is it really what's best for your career?
Do you think he's faking that injury?
No, I don't think he's faking an injury. Now, is it maybe as injured as what he's saying it is? I got soreness, but it's pulled. You know what I'm saying? Like I think maybe he might be pulling some of that.
I agree with you. I think Drew McIntyre carried WWE during COVID. I hope he stays in WWE.
WWE's not going to let him go. The problem is I think what they're trying to do is they're going to say, look, Drew, this last year, what have you done?
But is that his fault?
But that's what I'm saying. Creatively, you don't want to say no. But then when you say yes, you put yourself in where he's at. Because what has he done besides carry a big sword and slam it in the ground and everything? What has he done this year? Again, the worst thing about wrestling, it's what have you done for me lately? Sport.
I mean, that match That match that he had in WrestleMania was awesome.
It was awesome, but what are you gonna do? You're gonna do that every month?
No, but I mean,
And I'm sure he wants to get paid. That's probably where the disconnect is. I feel I'm worth this, and they're saying, "Well, look what you've done for the last year."
the fight that he had with
WrestleMania, up until WrestleMania, what had he done?
didn't
Yeah, he
he
had some good matches, but has he been in the main event picture?
wasn't he in the main event
All
for
money for them. That's
What-
where the problem lies.
wasn't he in that pay-per-view, the Clash of the Castles? Wasn't he with against Roman?
No,
Wasn't
no.
he the,
Clash of the Castle was.
wasn't the main event? I thought it was him and Roman.
Oh yes, yes. No, you're right. That was early though. That was early.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the Saudi one. That was
I-
Logan Paul.
He's held some. I just feel like they're just trying to kind of lowball him and see. I don't like. I agree with you. I don't think they're gonna let him go. And I hope. And again, he shouldn't go because if he goes to AEW, no, don't go to AEW because
What's going to happen is he's going to be like, "Hey, I want to work 12 to 15 days a month and whatever." He's going to work out some kind of deal, and they'll probably work it out to where it'll maybe WWE don't pay him as much money, but then he doesn't work as much. He does TV, does maybe 1 or 2 house shows leading up to pay-per-views or something, and that'll be it. I'm sure they'll set up something with him.
And you know what? You eventually you could probably put him against Cody.
If you end up doing that, but then you got to turn him heel or you turn Cody heel, whatever you want to do. I don't know what you do.
True.
At that point. I mean, I think ultimately it's going to be very interesting to see how long the chase goes and what.
Yeah.
And again, because a lot of things have been said about, oh, now he's going to have to run through a gauntlet of the locker room to earn the respect. So
I will say this about Monday night though. I was really disappointed with Paul Heyman's segment. Did you hear his segment? I thought
I watched the whole thing. No,
Paul Heyman's segment was so bad. I was like, man, he's so much more better in this. I thought he was kind of lazy on that one, and I was like, oh my god.
phoned it in.
Yeah, he was mocking the interviewer and everything, and I was like, oh my god. So I was like, not his best work in my opinion. Not his best work.
Hey, listen, not everybody can be on the top of their game all week, like all time, like
Sure.
Mr. AEW Frankie Fresco.
No.
Yeah. Bosby says it's actually in Fort Worth, about 30-minute drive from where I'm at, a venue called The Bar, 3601. Oh, a lot of good things happen at The Bar.
I've been at Fort Worth, Texas before.
Yeah, nice. I've not been to Fort Worth. I've been to, now, I know it's Dallas, Fort Worth. Dallas is not the same as, like, it's not like Dallas, Fort Worth, right? It's like Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
I think so. I think Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, right?
Well, Dallas is Dallas, right? Fort Worth is Fort Worth, or
oh my god,
I've been to Dallas, so I mean, I can't.
I've been to Dallas too.
Yeah,
it's Fort Worth, Texas. Fort Worth, Texas. Because remember that's where the they have that the huge airport. Their airport is huge there.
Yeah, Dallas Fort Worth Airport.
Yeah, so that I don't know.
I know. I flew into Dallas and I did some stuff there because listen, this is the thing.
Maybe we should change the conversation.
I worked at City Furniture, and we used to travel. Actually, no, Houston is where we went to, because we would go to Magic Mac, and I don't know if everybody knows who that is.
Yeah, see, it's separate. He said, yeah, it's Fort
Worth,
Texas.
We went to, and the whole time I was lying. I didn't do Dallas. Sorry, I've been to Houston.
Okay.
Yeah, because we went to Mattress Mac is the guy's name. He does all the crazy bets.
You used to work for City Furniture?
Yeah.
I used to work for El Dorado.
Did you? See.
No, I'm just playing. I was just trying to be the opposite.
Yeah, we would go there to Mattress Mac because he's this guy who invented same-day delivery. You would buy your furniture. He would give you free lunch. They'd pull the furniture, load it up, and follow you home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he puts all these bets. And then when he wins, he gives it out to the people that bought furniture from the store. He pays the furniture tickets for everybody that still has furniture.
Kimahi says City Furniture is fire expensive. So if it's too expensive, we gotta go to Rana Furniture. That's where we gotta go.
Well, it's expensive depending on where you go. They have different brands there. I mean, listen, when I was there, I used to have to go out on deliveries, and we would deliver in Hialeah, and people would buy these $6,000 bed poles. You couldn't even get up their hallways
Oh wow.
because the hallways were so thin. You're like, dude, what do you want us to do here? We used to have to put mattresses on the second floor. We'd climb on the truck and hand it through the door, through the sliding glass door, because you couldn't carry them through the damn.
That's cool.
Because they buy all this furniture that can't fit in the places, man. It's like crazy.
That's funny.
All right. So, all right, man. Any other parting thoughts?
Let me
Let's
see.
go.
Anything I could think of. I've been writing notes left and right always. I'm gonna start doing that more often. That way I could remember what we're gonna talk about. But no, I think we've spoken about everything. The draft. The only thing I did hear about the draft. When is it? I think it's supposed to be held in what, May?
Did they announce the date yet? Because
They haven't, but I there was this site called, or this Twitter account, WRKD Wrestling, that that reported that it's going to be May 8th and that it was going to be in the Jacksonville location. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but if they do it in the Jacksonville location, that's kind of like a jab at AEW, right? Like,
it'd be crazy. They did Daly's place, right?
Yeah, that would be. Oh my god, that would be so messed up. That would, no way.
That would be great. You think the Cons would rent it out to him?
No, of course not. I don't think so.
Like, hey, son, guess who's going to be here next week? WWE. We're doing a show out there in Daly's place.
That would be messed up. But I'm excited. I wonder who they're gonna, like, how they're gonna separate each one of them. And I like the fact that Triple H said that supposedly that everybody's on the draft. Everybody
available for the draft.
And I heard also that there's some surprise signs that people who have signed with WWE who have not come out to the show already, that they were planning to do it on the draft to surprise it, to kind of give it like a twist. Is that true?
Big as surprises is the names I've heard. I don't know if it's going to be a big surprise. It's like,
who did you hear? Give us a spiel here.
Eric Young has been under contract since December, and he has not debuted. Roderick Strong has disappeared from everything. I don't even know where the hell he's been.
Sure.
Or what's happened there. Supposedly AOP was going to come back. Then the Vince McMahon thing happened and it kind of sizzled out. And there's thought that it's done deal. So
do you want to see AOP back?
I don't know, man. I always thought, look, if you're not going to use them as your tag team champions, they're almost like an attraction because they should be them guys are just monsters, man. It's one of those things. It's like my issue with Omos is not that he's this, I think he can work fine. It's just like Andre never really fought for the heavyweight title. There's a reason.
I read something online. I don't know who it was. Somebody had mentioned that they had made a mistake making Brock Lesnar win and Omos lose. I forgot who it was.
If you watch it though, Brock Lesnar only got 2 moves.
He always only has 2 moves.
F5. He got the F5s and that's it. Other than that, Omos controlled the match and he slipped up. He hit the turnbuckle right into an F5. So I thought the match was laid out good for him to lose. Yeah. And my worry was that, he hadn't been, it's just one of those things to where it's like,
You know what? If they put AOP and put him in the Hurt Business, that wouldn't be bad. If they would have brought the Hurt Business.
I heard supposedly they're going to bring back Paul Ellering with them. I don't know if that's true or not.
Oh, okay.
Because that's who's negotiating supposedly for them. So, yeah, somebody put John Cena coming back, Bad Bunny surprise signing. It's just I don't know that they're necessarily like, because I'm trying to think right now, like who are the big names out there right now? There's no big names.
No.
When you look at it, I mean, maybe Matt Cardona.
Matt Cardona is not bad.
Surprise ones possibly. So I don't know. I mean, maybe there's women wise, maybe. I mean, maybe if they bring up NXT, like I said, like Roxanne Perez, somebody else also said Zoe Stark. There's a couple women there.
You know who I saw this weekend? Lola Vice. Lola Vice, is that her name?
Yeah, Valerie LaRuda.
Yeah, she was out there. She was out there. She's a big fan of Jorge Masvidal, so I saw her.
Okay.
But she was wearing some crazy stuff. I was like, wow, that's kind of revealing, but okay. And she was with another NXT wrestler. I don't know her name. I'm just getting into NXT. You know me, I'm not a big fan of NXT, so I started just watching it.
It's hard. It's hard because there. A lot of them are. I liked it better when there was the Adam Coles, the Roderick Strongs.
Yes,
Then it was more like a show. I thought they could have done something then, but Vince wouldn't allow them. I thought that could have been the third show. For you could have had Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, and you could have had 3 touring brands. One hitting the West Coast, one hitting the Midwest, one hitting the East Coast, all at the same time. But they didn't.
yep.
They didn't go with it.
Yep.
Sean, do you think Cody will beat Brock? At this point, I don't know what the hell they're going to do with this whole thing, man.
I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of him loses one of them and then he comes back and wins. Kind of like what they did with Seth and him. You saw how they were going back and forth for a while. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that.
Yeah, maybe. When after that Royal Rumble, after WrestleMania, the loss there, I really don't have a feel for where they want to go with Cody. I think I have an ultimate feeling of where they want it to end up.
Well,
I don't know the road. The road that it's very winding. It's like it's not a straight path. It's not like a left, right, left. It's like one road's closed and they're building it slowly as they're going. So I don't have a good feel whether they're going to let Cody beat Brock or not.
Well, I think what's going to happen, or what I've heard, is that they want to kind of push for SummerSlam Brock versus Gunther. That's what I heard, and that they're finally going to fight each other, which I think would be a great idea. I think it'll help Gunther a lot.
You put Cody over Brock if you're going to put Brock into the.
Well, no, but Cody has to beat Brock Lesnar and then move on. So he would have to be fighting somebody else by then. But
I don't know, man. I don't know.
But I found it out. I found out Booker T was the one that said Omos should have won instead of Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Okay. He was the one who mentioned it. So
would have been a good feather in his cap. But all right. Hey. Go ahead.
No. I say I like Omos.
I like him. I just thought, to me, it was one of those moves where like you got Lashley and Lesnar feuding, and now all of a sudden you've split them up. And it was originally going to be Lashley against Wyatt and Lesnar against Omos, and it was just like that felt thrown together. You could have had a big payoff of Lesnar Lashley to where you did a last man standing match to where there's no more of these fluky wins, there's no more of the whatever, and you finally have a winner and you kind of end the feud. And for me, it just you kind of almost felt robbed of that Lashley push that he was getting, because he won the Andre the Giant Memorial, but good God, look who's won that. Baron Corbin.
Where is Baron Corbin? I haven't seen him in a minute.
Trying to get on the show again. He's doing the whole poor pitiful me. And then also last year, what's his name won it? The guy that was Corbin's Happy Corbin, and what was the guy that told the jokes all the time? Damn it, what was his name?
Happy Corbin with the
Madcap Moss.
There you go. Yeah,
he won it the year before. So it's like that's not like a big springboard to me. So, but I want to thank everybody that tuned in. Karen, Terry, official DJ Mimo, King Mike Carlos, Boss B. See, Heat Finn's in there. Nicholas Colmenares, Mel Piper, you're in there. Ric Flair, the GOAT. Woo! And he also said Booker T, that old Asian guy. Missed this one. Official DJ Mimo making a custom T-shirt. Mr. AEW Fresco.
Hey, Sean, do you have any Squared Circle Digest shirts?
I can probably get some made. I got cups also.
Yeah, man. If I could get one, I'll wear it at the AEW event. Right. We could both wear it if you go, and then we could be out there promoting it, man.
Definitely, man. 2 at a time. Let's see who else we got here. If I miss somebody, I apologize now. I'm trying to go through. the chat here, and I might have missed some people. My dad, there you go. And we were good day today. Finch fan from Cali.
Thought Mel Piper came through.
Yeah, Mel Piper in. I didn't say already. Finn fan, appreciate you.
Two a time,
always. Two a time, always. John Padilla was in. Armando V was in. I missed him. Let's go, Sean. I missed that. I'm sorry, buddy. Let's see. Nate Diaz, NorCal. That's the man around here. Daddy WD Jr., J. Lee Long. And I think I got everybody there. And of course, I want to thank the great Mr. AEW himself, Frankie Fresco, for always being here, giving us his elite opinion.
Thanks for having me. One big shout out to Bushwhacker Butch. Of course, he passed away.
Sorry.
I don't think we mentioned him last week. So great wrestler, Hall of Famer in my eyes.
Hey, love them. I used to remember when they were the sheep herders. I was scared to death of them when I was younger.
I saw the Bushwhackers.
Nobody knows them really. Remember the sheep herders?
No, nobody. But
you would not believe that the Bushwhackers were the sheep herders. It's like the craziest thing.
My father, his favorite tag team was the Bushwhackers, and it was always because they would rub the face on the armpit, and my dad always loved it. So he was like, "Yeah, it's cool."
Awesome. As always, he'll be missed.
He will.
Until next time, as we always say, in the words of the great All Elite, Mr. Frankie Fresco, in the word of the elite announcer ever, in my opinion, Mr. Gordon Soley. So long from the sunshine.